I hope you're ready to learn about medial structures of the brain model. So if you have not seen the external structure video, go ahead and watch it, and then let's discuss these medial structures. If you've already seen it, then let's jump in. So there are several structures that you have to know, as well as their function. You will see that those structures have been identified by a black circle. These are the ones that are in your lab manual that state that you're responsible for them. Now, there are other structures that are listed in the lab manual, and you'll need to check with your instructor and find out if you have to know those or not. We're going to start off with the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is an area of thicker tissue that helps join the left and right hemisphere. So within the corpus callosum, there are positions that have different names. And so it's helpful to figure these out. So your lab model is going to contain 41, 42, as well as 43 and 83. 83 identifies the corpus callosum. So like the whole thing, right? It's kind of this C-shape structure. But it's also going to identify the body of it at number 41, the genu at number 42, the splenum at number 43. You can think of the corpus callosum as a connection, right? It connects the left and the right side. But there's also other connections on this brain model. Anterior commissure at number 46 is also known as the precommissure. When you see the word commissure, think of a bridge, a connection, and it's going to connect the temporal lobe on the left and the right. You will find that it's located anterior to the fornix. Number 47 is massa intermedia. It's also known as an MI. It goes across the third ventricle and is located at the medial surface of the thalamus. The size and location varies among individuals. About 50% of MIs are located in the center of the third ventricle. There's about 20% of individuals that actually lack the structure, and it's more common that this happens among males than females. It's also more common among those who have psychiatric diagnoses. Females also appear to have a larger MI. The vermis is Latin for worm. It's a connection site between the left and the right cerebellum. Continuing with these medial structures, you have the optic chiasma. The optic chiasma is where the left and the right optic nerve will crisscross. Your pineal gland is behind the thalamic structures. You'll notice in the area that is pink, the pineal gland is going to be the very bottom of this structure. It's located at number 54 on the model. Number 61 is your arbor vitae. Arbor tells me that it deals with trees, and vitae tells me that it has to deal with life. And this is known as your tree of life. It is a white matter area that brings sensory and motor information to your cerebellum. At number 63, you have your medulla oblongata. The medulla oblongata is the center for the respiration and circulation that occurs. So it'll help with regulating breathing as well as the heart rate. It'll help with digestion and swallowing, and also is involved with sneezing. The next structure is 65, which is the pons. The pons has nuclei that relay signals from the forebrain to the cerebellum. Additionally, there are nuclei that deal with sleep and respiration, bladder control and equilibrium, swallowing, facial senses, posture, facial expression, hearing, taste, even eye movement. Remember that embryonic development video? Remember how the mesencephalon doesn't subdivide any further? Well, here you have the midbrain at number 67. The midbrain is involved in motor function and also deals with some auditory and visual sensory information. At 113, you have the third ventricle. Ventricles are cavities or chambers, and basically they're going to allow for cerebral spinal fluid to flow through the brain. So there's deep interior structures. You would end up having to remove that seahorse-looking structure from the brain. And what you will find is that you have these cavities here, and we can actually see the lateral ventricles when we do this. You will also be able to see the basal ganglia. So let's look at those. Your basal ganglia are located at structures 96 and 98. The lab manual lists motor function as its function, but it's actually involved in more than just that, including learning and emotion. All right, so now we are to the ventricles. The ventricles are very interesting because they have a structure known as the choroid plexus. The choroid plexus is going to produce something known as cerebral spinal fluid. We often call it CSF. CSF is going to be a clear fluid that then bathes the brain as well as circulates through these 4 ventricles. These ventricles are just chambers or cavities. Your first and second ventricle are your lateral ventricles. These are identified on your brain model. You will see them at number 88 and 89. Your third ventricle is in the thalamic region. Remember, this is from the diencephalon. Refer back to that embryonic development video or your notes. This is going to surround the massa intermedia. It can be seen on the purple model at number 7. Your fourth ventricle actually connects to the third ventricle via cerebral aqueduct. It's also known as the Sylvian aqueduct. The cerebral aqueduct is located on the brain model, but it's not listed on the answer key that you have to know. But if you just want to check it out, it's number 57. Your fourth ventricle is located on the brain model at 59 and also on the purple model at number 16. The fourth ventricle is in the hindbrain region. It's derived from the metencephalon. The cerebral spinal fluid can then go down the central canal. On your brain model, it's another structure that you're not responsible for, but it's number 60. And on your spinal cord model, it's in the very center of it. It's located at number 9. I hope this video has answered a lot of your questions about the brain model. If you need to watch more videos, have at it. You can also drop me an email.